Good afternoon. My name is Joe Persico and welcome to episode 5. Today's episode is entitled, Who Am I? There's been a lot of talk lately about the subject of gender or gender identity. Nothing new here. This has been debated for years. If I may, I'd like to share my thoughts on the subject. As far as I know, there have always been two genders, male and female. You're born with either a Y chromosome if you're a male or an X chromosome if you're a female. There are a small percentage of infants born with either both sets of genitals or neither. For these infants, I think their birth certificates should have the identification of either or neither. These children should be raised as neither until the parents can tell which way the child leans. Only when the child reaches the age of 18 should a decision about surgery be even considered. Because once it's done, it's done. This is a very difficult thing to change one's mind about once the surgery is completed. Now, I fully understand that many people feel they don't necessarily identify with either male or female, and they prefer to live their lives as gender fluid. Well, to this I say, go for it. Live whatever way makes you happy. Your choice. If you're a woman who prefers to dress as a man, or a man who prefers to dress in women's clothes, so be it. Nobody should be discriminated against for making these choices. Now, by the same token, if someone misidentifies you by referring to you as ma'am or sir, there's no need to make an issue of this. It could just be an honest mistake. No need to feel offended. Simply correct the person and go about your business. You still retain all the same rights as anyone else, but you must expect that sometimes people take a visual cue and act on it. In other words, to some, you may not look particularly masculine or feminine. Let's talk about transsexualism. Converting from male to female or female to male is a very serious decision. A decision not to be taken lightly by any means. In no way is it like choosing to wear a dress or pants. It's a decision that will affect the rest of your life. In fact, sadly, a lot of people who opt for surgery unfortunately wind up committing suicide. So this is a subject that should be given years of consideration and introspection. It's not like you see in the media. Even Caitlyn Jenner once said she hopes God will forgive her for making the choice she made. So obviously she sees it as a lot more than what other people do. For anyone considering surgery, I would advise anyone to live and dress as the gender you prefer for a couple of years before making such a decision. It may not be all that you expected. And it's much easier to change your clothes than to decide you want to transition back. Now, when it comes to small children, my feeling is that if they seem determined to be the opposite gender, then let them live and dress this way until they reach the age of 18. Because by then you'll know, and they will know, if it was just a phase or if it's something they feel strongly about. My guess is most kids will learn to adapt to the gender they were born as. For those that don't, however, it's time to think about taking the next step. But by no means should a child's identity be surgically or chemically altered until they reach the age of 18. Children younger than this do not have the maturity to make such a choice. If you need an example of this, you need look no further than Michael Jackson. Michael's father decided to put him on female hormones as a child. Not to change him, but to selfishly delay puberty so that his voice would not deepen and perhaps lessen the income his father was used to. If you look at Michael's adulthood, you can see how these treatments had a profound effect on his short life. I would also like to suggest to anyone who feels they were born in the wrong body to consider the idea that maybe this is because God has a different plan for you. Maybe, just maybe, you have a higher purpose, which you may not be aware of just yet. Just something to consider. Being different doesn't make you less of a human being. In fact, it gives you a deeper understanding of both sides. Now, on the topic of sexuality, I'd like to simplify this whole LGBTQ thing for those of you who find it a bit confusing. A person is either heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual. If you are female that is attracted to other females, then you are simply a woman who is gay. If you are a male who finds other males sexually attractive, then you are a man who is gay. If you are male or female and find that you're attracted to either sex, then you are male or female who is bisexual. This goes for trans people as well. You are one of the aforementioned persuasions as well. This has nothing to do with what you identify or dress like. Your sexual preference certainly does not identify who you are. Keep this in mind because you are always a man or a woman first and foremost. Don't let your sexual preferences identify you as a human being. You are not necessarily a part of any community. We are all members of the human race. And that should be our only community, because we all have the same basic needs and desires. Be proud of who and what you are, because God made us each unique in our own way. Thank you. Please subscribe and share. Until the next time.